Good afternoon. The reason we're here this afternoon is I want to talk about a situation that, in my opinion, needs to be addressed in our community, and that's residential burglaries. In the valley, we're actually seeing a decrease in residential burglaries. A lot of that stems from the valley maintaining law enforcement levels. We have a very aggressive team out there. We're using intelligence-led policing, and we're able to catch a lot of burglars. Even in the county, where we have a much reduced force, nearly 30 deputies in the last 3 years, in the last 9 days, we've caught 7 burglars. There's a lot of good work going on out there, but sadly, that is not enough. So, with working with the Sheriff's Office and the County Commissioners, Mayor Condon, and the SPD, we are looking at new and better ways to deal with the burglary problem within Spokane County. It is only through working together that we're actually going to make a difference in this effort. This morning I met with my command staff, and we are working on a plan to boost our manpower out on the street. That is going to cost some overtime. The Board of County Commissioners have approved that overtime. We're also going to be sending all personnel that are not assigned to the field out to the field sometime during a week to help with surveillance, to help with targeted emphasis, working with all the assets that the Sheriff's Office can muster, combined with SPD, the City of Spokane Police Department. We think that we can make a dramatic effort in reducing burglaries within this community. The one thing that we very rarely talk about is the victims of those crimes. With me today is Melissa Bambock, and her daughters experienced firsthand what it's like to have their homes burglarized, to have somebody enter their home while they were there. This should be the last thing that this community should tolerate, is the fact that our citizens don't feel safe in their houses. And we're going to do everything that we can to ensure our community safety, because ultimately it boils down to our economic viability as a community. One of the extreme concerns that my detectives have are the fact that, folks, we're arresting burglars. 5 of the burglars that we arrested a week ago Saturday, 2 of them were out on bond. These same individuals pulled weapons, guns, on citizens out on the West Plains. These same individuals a week ago last Saturday committed multiple burglaries within this community, and they were caught. Our goal is to make sure that they stay in jail this time. I met with Judge Please today, the presiding criminal judge, and asked her to step to the table to help us with these type of situations. We have situations where we have had multiple burglars arrested. We've had $25,000 bonds reduced to $10,000 bonds, and ultimately released on their own recognizance. And then they go back out, they burglarize more, and then they sell guns from those burglaries. That shouldn't be happening. Once we arrest them, we as a community need to do everything that we can to keep them behind bars. They shouldn't be doing more crimes as they're waiting to go to trial on the first crimes. That is something that we need to address with the courts and the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office is very much overworked, but there has to be a prioritization of these crimes. People entering another person's home has to be addressed. They should be a priority. I plan on talking with Prosecutor Tucker and seeing if we can restructure some of that framework to ensure that when we arrest these individuals, they stay behind bars. Commissioner Mielke, would you like to say anything?
Certainly. You know, we have we have spent a lot of time working on criminal justice issues and the criminal justice system over the last few years. And what we've been trying to do is do smarter justice sooner. We've invested in the infrastructure. I know the sheriff and I and a number of others have worked extremely hard to take a look at, again, what the entire criminal justice system looks like, especially with regards to the infrastructure. This community has stepped forward. We have reinvested in our emergency communication system. We've been doing that. We have reinvested in bringing back Crime Check, because the bottom line is we will never be able to put a policeman on every corner of this community. And we are going to require, not just require, we're going to ask our citizens to partner with us and really help us go out and be able to address these needs. And so what we need to do is we've put this tool in place. It is one of the best crime fighting tools that we have in this community, is that we solicit the help of our citizens to let us know where crime is happening, and so that we can allocate resources to those issues and make sure that we address it. And we've done other things as well. At this point, we are beginning to see those efforts pay off. We have those tips coming in. We have those leads coming in. We are seeing patterns of criminal behavior in our community, and our citizens are helping us. What we need now is to be able to take that information and do something with it. And what we found is when we have the manpower to do that, when we have the ability to do that, we are being extremely successful. Again, our men and women in law enforcement that have been working on residential and commercial burglaries have had great success. But right now we have more information coming in than we can process with our current staff. So we will continue to go forward. But again, it will require the partnership of this entire community as we try to stretch our resources, as we try to find more financial resources to stretch those resources even further. So, things that we do understand, we have taken a beating as a community with regard to how we fund government programs, including law enforcement. But again, we're going to do the best we can with what we've got. We have the technology that's helping us be smarter, and now we're going to recognize that by assigning more resources to where our data tells us we need to go, we can even do better.
Commissioner Mielke is exactly correct when it comes down to the involvement of the community. Many of these burglaries that we have solved were solved as a direct contact with the community. A few weeks ago we had a GameStop that was burglarized. That was solved because of an anonymous tip. Within about 4 days, that burglary was solved. The burglars that were caught last night in the South County were caught because of a phone call and action on behalf of citizens and the victims. So we reach out to you, the public, because you are our greatest asset. It's time that this community, working together, again, for the last 2 months, Chief Scott Stevens and I and Mayor Condon have been working on a plan on how to combine resources more fluently through the system so we can deal with the same issues that each jurisdiction face. Let's face it, criminals don't know the boundaries. All they know is it's a house. We're going to be working together to put them behind bars. Any questions?
Just add real quick. I think the issue is anybody that's been the victim of a burglary, feels vulnerable. They feel violated. I've been on that receiving end, and they want to know that their lair, their residence is going to be a safe sanctuary for themselves and their family once again. And so we recognize that, and we understand. I believe that that the community's sense of watching out for each other and wanting to be safe is stronger than the burglars will ever get to us. But what we need to do is we need to pull together. If we try to do this all individually, it's going to be very difficult. And so again, I mentioned the issue of Crime Check, and we want people to be diligent. We want them to be observant. We want them to pay attention to what's going on in their neighborhoods, and then we want them to convey that information to us if they see something going on. So we will be more effective when that happens.
Okay. Questions?
Can you give us any dollar figure of how much more you're approving in overtime?
We're going to throw as much money as in overtime as needed to get control of this situation. Our patrol division has been very diligent in driving down overtime over the last year. We're going to take some of that savings and put it back into work on the street. So we're trying to save money on one side of the equation to funnel it back on to the solving of crimes within the patrol division and the investigative division.
There's an old, the room is full of law enforcement. The old saying is, but 20% of the folks commit 80% of the crime, something like that. And really the issue is how do we focus on the 20%? Not just on finding them and arresting them, but then we also need to make sure that we follow through with the rest of the criminal justice system to make sure that those repeat offenders aren't back out on the streets, as the sheriff said, reoffended.
And it is a system issue. We have to make sure that the entire system is working with us. We can arrest them, but if they're back on the streets in short order, we can't solve the problem.
Are you guys targeting specific neighborhoods?
Be specific neighborhoods, geographic areas, and quite frankly, known offenders.
Can you be more specific about those neighborhoods?
Not at this time. And there's a reason for that. We'd like to target those areas and actually catch these people.
Sheriff, you said that you've been working with Mayor Todd and Chief Stevens. Is the city here?
The city is not here today. They both had meetings. They expressly gave me authority to speak in reference to the work that we've been doing over the last few months.
Well, the city's lack of resources, if you will, how has that contributed to the issue that we're facing? The lack of resources they put towards.
I believe that any time that any jurisdiction stops dealing with one portion of crime, that portion of crime not only expands, it bleeds over into other portions of crime. Again, when we have criminals that are out on bond pulling guns on our citizens, we have a real issue. And if we're not putting the proper resources into stopping it, then we have to take a look at our responsibilities. Our responsibility is to keep this community safe, and I intend to do that.
I would add to that, though, that I mentioned the crime check issue. That was certainly a joint effort between the city of Spokane, Spokane Valley, and Spokane County. So putting those tools in place. I think the other thing that's important to note is we continuously have discussions about how to collaborate, how to coordinate those efforts and those resources. Again, I mean, I think every local government jurisdiction across this nation has seen its financial stability in question. But again, what we do is we try to look for that potential to collaborate and to coordinate, get the biggest bang for our buck, and never allow it to become an excuse not to do something.
This isn't a Spokane County issue solely, folks. In 2009, if you remember, I told you that we were starting to see what potentially could be a public safety emergency. I know friends that have lost 50% of their agencies. You have consolidation after consolidation of jurisdictions. In Pennsylvania, you have entire jurisdictions closing their doors, law enforcement jurisdictions, and state patrol picking that